Alright, Diablo 4 players, let's hop into it. Some of the best and most powerful uniques and combos coming into the game for the SpiritBorn class. So for starters, we do know that they obviously are going to be getting some uniques. Blizzard has actually revealed some of these. Some of these are actually going to be taken from a data mine, so take everything that I'm showing you guys with a grain of salt. You've also maybe have heard of some people getting review copies. But there are some unique items that are absolutely game-breaking when you combo them with certain things. And I want to go ahead and make this video so you guys know when the SpiritBorn and the expansion drops, you know when this item drops, you're going to be able to build a character around these sort of items. So for starters, this is going to be a 2-item combo, 1 unique and 1 legendary aspect. So we're going to be taking a look at the Jacinth Shell. So what does this do? Now, the stats on this are absolutely absurd. If you get a greater affix and you get some masterworking done, you have over 100% damage reduction while injured. Now, it's actually quite easy to achieve injured in this because how it works with its special power, because we're looking at the star effect right here. It says spending Vigor heals you for 10% of your maximum life. Now it rolls from 1 to 10%. Then every second your active cooldowns will then drain 10% of your maximum life to reduce their durations by 3 seconds. Obviously, you're going to have no HP, but if you take no damage, well, that's going to be a huge thing. Since you can actually overfill your life, obviously, with this, because it's just any amount of Vigor that you spend. It doesn't matter if you spend, 1 or your entire bar, you're going to be able to heal for a big chunk of your life. 10% per activation is quite big. You can actually combo this with a couple different things. They have barrier built into their build. If you look into the skill tree, because I've been heavily looking into like all my builds and stuff, there is actually a way where you can just generate barrier after not taking damage. Now, if this works like galvanizing ward in Diablo 3, there's different sources of barriers, and as long as you don't take damage, technically in the game in D3, how it registered is HP was considered you taking damage, but barrier would not register a lot of the time. So if you can overlap this would be actually pretty powerful. You maybe combo it with things like temerity or things like that, where you're able to actually gain additional barrier. So the downside of you being at low life doesn't matter, as long as, of course, you're just taking barrier damage, right? So obviously this is pretty busted with this. My thought process is that there's no way you can have this 200% damage reduction. It'll break the game. So I expect that to maybe receive some big changes. But even if you don't get a greater affix, just going to 12 out of 12 masterworking, you get to over 100% damage reduction, which is again absolutely absurd. So how does this combo really well? Because we're able to heal, right? For our HP every time we activate anything that spends, which is going to be usually our core skills, right? We get to heal for 10%. Now, if you combo this with the aspect called the Starlight, what it does is it gains a bunch of resource for every 20% of your life that you heal, or every 200% that you overheal if you're at maximum life. Now you have a consistent way to actually drain. This was actually data mined a while back that this was getting nerfed, but it's totally fine that it is getting nerfed because this is so powerful. If you guys haven't seen a really weird build that actually was pretty powerful even in the current season, which is season 5, it actually works really good with generating a bunch of extra resources for the barbarian to generate these dust devils. And so this is going to be a very, very powerful combo. Now we can even take it a step further if you want to, because this is just a 2-item combo. If you want to go even further with that, you can actually run a lot of stuff called Healing Received, which can be acquired via the Paragon or maybe some other items here. You're going to be able to actually get so much resources with this combo here. You can even throw in Undying, the other aspect. You can throw this in any defensive category here, but in the amulet you'll get a bonus. It'll give you 50% more. You get a massive amount, and because you're going to be on such low HP, you're just going to heal and it's just going to drain. Your HP is going to be like a ping pong ball, but what it will allow you to do is run the brand new Rod of Kipelike, and this is crazy. I mean, look at this. If we get this thing to be greater affixed and we go ahead and masterwork it, we can get plus 21 to core skills. How this game originally was designed, if you look at any of the build websites, this was even stuff that was shown off at like Gamescom and stuff. A lot of the core skills or any of the skills for any class in Diablo would be about 5%. Originally, SpiritBorn was designed to have a 7% per point into core skills. I believe it was a interview with Rod, and they even said that this class is going to be OP. And, well, if you add 21 to any skill, I mean, even if we don't get this, let's just say we just get, let's say just 2 masterworking. 15 to core skills is pretty much unheard of from any build. The rest of the stats are like whatever. Vigor, by the way, is your resource. This is like your mana, so to speak. But to get that amount to core skills is just crazy for any build, right? But then on top of that, the core skills are now basic skills, and they are free to cast, but they do less damage. So there's just kind of some downside here. And then at maximum Vigor, your core skills instead deal normal damage, and then they're going to consume all of your Vigor to critically strike with up to, this technically rolls, but it's 3x critical strike damage for each point that you spend. And on average, most builds, if you want to pop like the resource potion too, you can get about 200-ish%. Maybe you throw in Lockhorn's Talisman. There's a lot of different things you can even throw to balls. Anything that increases your maximum resource, this is going to be pretty big, because then you're going to get this big burst of a huge damage because it's going to spend all of your resource. And for quality of life in terms of a build, because all of your core skills are free, that actually makes things a lot easier. You may not need to run like Ring of the Star of the Skies or other things to try to make your build to do maximum DPS. A lot of builds you may have to use like a couple basics, then you go core, right? But with this, you're not going to need to do it because they're essentially going to be free now. So that's going to be a big combo. But then again, since you're able to get your resources super fast with this, if you guys have played like the Barbarian build, you know what I'm talking about. Like the resource can just go back to full instantly. If you've ever played the Kick Barbarian variant with Starlight, yeah, it's going to be like that, where you can just have this insane amount of damage. It almost reminds me of like some sort of Banished Lord's Talisman, like infinite combo. So very powerful combo indeed. Next up, I want to go over some of the other really great uniques, and some of these you can combo them with each other, but this helmet is absolutely insane. It's basically like the unnerfed Crown of Lucian, which, yeah, this thing is super powerful. And what it does, it's so good. The rest of the stats, I mean, getting crit strike chance, that's cool, whatever. But the main thing that we're here with the Harmony of Ebewaka, which is a new helmet, is incredibly good. Your skills are additionally Jaguar, Eagle, Gorilla, or Centipede based on your secondary Spirit Hall choice. Each spirit type a skill has increases its damage by 50x, which that's an unheard of number. That's again 150 when you consider 3, and 3 is super easy to achieve because whatever skill that you use, and right now one of the most popular skills, at least via all of the gameplay that you guys have probably seen, and we'll be dropping gameplay very soon, but this skill is incredibly good. You can actually have this, you can see where the player is using it, but it comes back. That is an actual aspect that you need to actually get that. But pretty much what this comes down to with this is that how it works. This is kind of explaining the specialization for the class, just like, Rogue has, like, you can do combo points, you can do inner sight. This is basically the SpiritBorns. So you get to select 2 of these spirits. Your first one is like your major spirit, and then you have a minor spirit, is how it works. And you can see what each one does. Now, each one of these, I'm not going to go over all the effects. Basically, the primary one, your skills all become also tagged as that. So if you played like a druid, think of like werebear or werewolf, or like, you have your nature, or you have whatever like earth skills. It basically gives them the tag, so any bonuses that you would get would then work with it. So it's really good. So how it works is your skills are additionally whatever based on the secondary one. So now all of our skills will have 2 additional tags. So now I would be Gorilla, because all skills are Gorilla, and then my secondary one, whatever I choose, it will also gain that benefit. And then the base of the skill will also have whatever it has. So if let's say I'm using Eagle, right? So now my skills are going to be Eagle, Gorilla, and Centipede, so all the bonuses all stack, and then since we have 3 of them, they can increase it up to 150x. Now this gets even further if you can get another 4th one, which I don't know if there's going to be anything that allows you to go to a 4th one, but let's say you can. That's crazy. Again, the Crown of Lucian was one of the most powerful things. If you guys have watched the PTR, everyone played that thing, and it was so amazing, and then they nerfed it to the ground. Will this happen? Well, wait and see. But this thing is absolutely crazy good. Plus, it just has good stats overall. And just getting flat damage reduction is definitely great, right? I've already talked about this. I think this will be in almost every single build in the game, but I just forgot to mention it. Now, this item is actually crazy good, too. It's another, like, one of the best things if you need survivability. I mean, this is pretty busted. It's called Craze of the Dead God, which is weird that they put it in the same category, because in this exact category, we also had one of the things come out recently called Endurant Faith, which is supposed to make it so if you would actually take 40% of your maximum life in one hit, it's distributed over the next 2 seconds, and the damage is reduced by 30x. So basically, it's for survivability. But the brand new gloves, Craze of the Dead god over here. This is a SpiritBorn like only one, but what's so good with this, you get a bunch of like poison stuff, but that doesn't really matter. You also get points into anti-venom, which is actually important to go ahead and mention for the video, because you can gain increased poison resistance and your maximum poison res goes over. So think of like things like Tyraels, which let you overcap. The new like cap in the game, technically it goes to 70, but then you can increase it up to 85. Now, if you get one other point into this, yeah, then you can go ahead and have maximum, which is going to be 15%, right? So what it does is when you take direct damage, instead you receive, now this rolls, you actually want the lowest number. You receive 100% of the form of poisoning over 10 seconds. So that means that instead of taking the 100% of the damage, you take 10% per second, which is massive because then you can actually out-heal it and you could potentially survive the hit. Then it says based your poison life amount, dealing direct damage has a 10% chance to infect an enemy with Touch of Death and clear the poisoning from you. So potentially you have a chance to use basically another ability, which is Touch of Death. Now, you could maybe add this in the build or just run it, but pretty much you have the ability to get some extra bonus, and you see that it has 27 ranks, and the next item is so busted. I'm hoping that they do not nerf it, but this item, if you need survivability, I don't think there's anything else that's going to give you this amount of survivability, because remember, getting that maximum resistance, if you played Path of Exile, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about maximum resistance. That is the most overpowered thing in the entire game for defensive stats. Definitely do not sleep on this if you're having problems with survivability. There's nothing else that really beats this almost in the entire game. Like, it's crazy because remember, it deals that damage and you're only going to be taking 15% of it because you're going to have 85 when you run this. And that's not even counting if we get some sort of masterwork in this. But it doesn't matter. You only technically need to put 1 point into it because it starts off with +4 if you just go to 12 out of 12. Unless you get a bad roll, which would be 3. And then you just put 2 points into it. And at 5, well, you have that maximum 85 cap. So that's going to be really good. Next up, though, the Protection of the Prime. This one is actually pretty good as well. And you can see it has maximum to all elements, which is already pretty good. Tyraels is really powerful for that. It's actually got extra damage, too. Damage on pants is kind of an unheard of stat. The life per 5 seconds is whatever. Even with the stat squish, this number tends to be a little bit too small. Fingers crossed that they actually buff this item going into the game. Maximum life is a pretty good stat. I know it seems low, but keep in mind everything getting stat squished, that number is actually not bad. But then the special power, while moving, we gain extra dodge. After standing still, we actually get to become unstoppable. So if we were able to combo this with any bonuses while you are unstoppable, you get whatever. This is really good because you could just permanently have unstoppable. And during some boss fights, this is actually going to be pretty big just so you don't actually get pushed away. It's kind of a big deal in a lot of boss mechanics when you get pushed away. Maybe you're playing Intercom, then obviously this would be a very, very good combo with Intercom. I like this thing a lot. Again, the maximum resistance is the two things I'm stressing right here. It is so godly. And this is what I find crazy with this. It's not just the poison damage you take. It's just any direct damage. It doesn't say specifically, and that means basically all non-dots, you're going to be good to go. I can't wait to try this out. This is going to be crazy. Now, the next item is, I saved the best for the last on this one, but we still have actually more combos here. But this thing is actually, it just so busted. I've already talked about it, but Nikhil the Herald, yeah, getting a greater affix, 27 to all skills, most busted thing ever. But like even this right here, 15 to core skills, or even if we like, let's say max it out, getting 21 is crazy already. But if we go to 27 to all of your skills, yeah, we don't even need to read the rest of the things. It is insane. But then it doesn't stop there. You get plus 300 crit strike damage, which is actually a pretty reasonable stat considering there are a few other things that you can utilize where you can get like your block amount gives you, it's one of the aspects over here. Let me see if I can find it. It's based off of your block. Let's see, you gain increased critical strike damage, so you get another multiplier based off of your block chance, and blocking doubles this bonus. So you can basically get an incredible amount. Maybe throw in the amulet, get another 50% bonus over here, and you get over 100x of your, you basically have grandfather, which is insane. Now, obviously, you're going to have your block chance up pretty high, but then that does become doubled, which, if you can have this, again, if I put it in the amulet, let me actually do this real quick because it will help for the video. This is just, it's 105, right, of our blocking chance, but then this gets doubled. So we get 200x of our, okay, let's say the best scenario, we get 100% block. Oh, by the way, I don't know if it explains it in here. Does it explain block? Because block doesn't work the same way as the other Diablo games. this is actually kind of important. I believe how it works in D4 with the block is that it just gives you some damage reduction based on the like block, or there's other damage reduction values, but it doesn't just prevent the damage outright. It's not like a dodge effect. But yeah, this thing is going to be crazy as well. Again, you can combo it with anything that just gives you a massive amount of crit. So really, really good stuff indeed. Now, other things that are really powerful that I want to go ahead and mention. Now, some of these, they're going to be good for more niche builds, but all of the uniques are actually pretty dang good. There's also Sepazontec, which is something that I talked about when I showed off my Thorns build, where our basic skills actually deal a bunch of increased damage, and then they always use their third attack, and then on the third cast, it's going to unleash triple strikes. So what you can do with this, and Gorilla already has like built-in Thorns, so what you can do is Rock Split increases our Thorns damage, and for 5 seconds, our third attack deals 100% of our Thorns to enemies. So if you were to, like, let's say, utilize this, and then run that item, this is where we get into, like, some combos. You can just run Razor Play. It's going to be insane. So every single attack, when we attack, it's going to apply all of the Thorns damage. That's one problem that Thorns builds do have, is to actually get that good amount of damage, you have to wait for the enemies to hit you. But you will no longer need to wait for that. And then our basic skills are always going to use their third attack, so it always does Thorns on every single attack, which is going to be pretty dang good. And then you can combo it with something like Razor Play, and then this is a really, really incredible combo. Remember, all the stats did get squished. This will start getting crazy. If you guys haven't seen how good Thorns is in Season 6, I have a Thorns Barbarian build, which I honestly don't know if that's going to get absolutely destroyed. However, we could one-shot everything in the game with Thorns, and they are giving Barbarian like a brand new Thorns key passive. So if they decide to nerf it, we'll have to wait and see how bad the nerf is. But just to apply Thorns on every single attack is going to be crazy. And I'm hoping that we can do some double dipping here, because casting a Gorilla skill also deals 100% Thorns to enemies you hit and grants a barrier. I think Gorilla is going to be like the new meta for the expansion here, because it just gives you so much. Again, getting any flat numerical stat, especially when you can temper on all the utility slots early on in the game, it's going to be so easy for progression with this class. But yeah, Razor Play is going to be really good with Sepazontec, and then again, you would then run a basic attack, and then you can run Moonrise, Adaptability, any of the other things you can maybe make a build out of that. So this is a really cool combo as well. And then next up, this is just something, just flat stats. So we're just talking about like the best uniques and combos. This is just going to be kind of like solo here. This is unheard of. I actually fully expect this thing to get like destroyed in terms of the first stat. This is all I care about. The damage after you kill anything cool, whatever, you get some bonuses. But then also, this is actually a pretty good thing. That does, okay, cool. It tells me what it does, because otherwise I'd pull up this page. But what is cool with this is it generates Vigor per second while you have at least 4 stacks of Ferocity. So there's a lot of things that can generate Ferocity. Ferocity gives you 5% extra attack speed per stack. You can basically upkeep a pretty decent amount. You can get about 8-ish in the game pretty consistently via like just playing the game. There's also like an ultimate that will give you like a bonus. It starts off, I believe, at 4 at maximum, but there are things that can increase this further. But pretty much, you can upkeep it. It's like a buff that you can think of. I want to say like Ring of the Starless Skies. Like, it's really not that hard to upkeep your stacks of Ferocity. But you generate 7 Vigor per second while you have it, but then also gaining Ferocity grants Resolve. Now, what is Resolve? Resolve is almost like a copy of the Dark Shroud, so it's going to increase your damage reduction. Now, this one just goes by a flat 20, but it can be increased on the skill tree. This was actually revealed a while back, and you can gain additional damage reduction per stack of Resolve, which is actually pretty good, and you can get more points into it. I mean, let's go ahead and just put some points in it, and then we gotta put 1 point in here, and then we get 3.5 per stack of Resolve, and I'm not sure if it'll say like the limit of Resolve in this one over here. Okay, so this one says up to 8, so if we get 8 and then we get another 24% damage reduction, I mean, that's 45 damage reduction. Is not bad at all. And again, you can also just get this so fast. It does remove a stack, but it doesn't matter. With the amount of Ferocity that you can gain in it is crazy. But what I really wanted to highlight here in Peacemonger Signet, in terms of it being like just some of the best stuff in the entire game, this is 42.4% chance that you take no damage. I'm not sure what season it was, but I know in Season 0 we had inverse multiplicative on dodge, especially on tempers being added to the game. You can actually achieve 100% dodge with this class. if this stays the same, I think this will actually be pretty game breaking. Who knows? I mean, I'm hoping season 6 will come out and it's going to be the most like SpiritBorn is going to be probably one of the most OP classes because everyone's going to figure out some broken stuff with it. That's just the nature of the game, right? But like this amount of dodge is just crazy, especially since you can also on this over here with counterattack, you can get 15% chance to dodge right there. You get some dodge in your boots, maybe you get an amulet, a couple other pieces of gear, roll dodge, and you're just looking at, you don't take no damage unless it's AoE on the floor. I think this is going to be pretty broken, and especially when you combo it with the other thing which we've been talking about, Jacinth Shell, when you just basically have infinite cooldowns, as long as you have HP to spare, but you're going to have HP to spare because every time you cast a skill that uses your resource, you're going to get that massive bonus over there. So one thing to note though, since I was talking about this combo over here, if you also use the Rod of Kipalike, it's going to make it free, but it's going to spend it once you're at maximum. So you may not get that huge amount of life, but Undying will instantly, whenever you cast any skill, grant you it. So it's really good for that. But yeah, dodge chance is just incredibly OP on that one. And then next up we have Wound Drinker over here. So what's nice with this ring is it does actually roll with double resistance to all elements, which is actually quite nice. But in Season 6, things are about to change, specifically with armor. And I was looking at this and I'm just like, dude, this is unreal numbers. 130% of armor in one roll is already like just godly. And because I was already talking about Thorns, which you can now combo in like what I was talking about before, you run Razor Plate, you run Sepazontec, so everything applies all of your Thorns instantly. You get 200% Thorns. I'm not sure if this actually works that way, but fingers crossed it does. You get every single attack, it applies Thorns, and then on your third attack, it's going to do triple attacks, so then you get 600%. And what makes this unique is look at the number on the Thorns on this. You can actually get this. Let's say you don't need this for the armor. It already is pretty good defensive-wise, right? But let's say you get this, you can get 800 Thorns. That is half of a Razor Plate in just one of the mods, which is pretty crazy. And then you also get a massive amount of damage reduction from poison, which it sounds weird that you mix it in with Thorns. I already have a build guide. If I remember, I'll link it down below. But I've already talking about like Thorns, and the reason why you're getting like poison and Thorns together is because there's a thing called Toxic Skin, and when you put the second point into the enhanced, you get. It says while active, Toxic Skin's poisoning is increased. Oh wait, is it the third one? It's this one. Okay, measured. So while Toxic Skin is active, your poisoning deals an extra. Oh no, it's this one. Okay, this is the one I was talking about. Okay, so it's called Replenishing Toxic Skin. So Toxic Skin passively increases Thorns damage due to poison enemies by 100%. And how this works for free, it's a free passive that if enemies hit you, which is how Thorns works anyways, they are now poisoned over 5 seconds. So the fact that you can get this amount of Thorns, and over here you get 34 DR here, and I was already talking about the amount of like damage reduction that you can just get in this class. This class is really set up, guys, to be the most insane thing I've seen. I mean, what item in the game gives you 100% armor? Like, this is stats we've never seen before, which is going to make it really easy, again, if you're trying to go into the next world tiers to try to cap out. Also, technically, I wanted this video to be all about the SpiritBorn, because that's the point of it, because everyone and their grandma is going to be playing this class next season, right? But there is also a pair of boots that I really wanted to highlight really quick just to max out resistances, because a lot of people love Tyrael's, right? I like it too. It's one of the best chest armors in the game. But there's a lot of really great options, like this one I think is going to be best in slot. Jacinth Shell, super busted, because it just gives you infinite cooldown, and on top of that, if you actually can get this, which again, I guarantee you guys that they're going to nerf this. If they don't nerf it in the first season, it's going to be like break the game. The amount of damage reduction you get is too crazy. But if you need to cap your resistances, there are 2 items. Yen's Blessing and Rakanat's Wake will just give you basically max res. I mean, I'm talking about like mostly looking at endgame, because we're talking about, obviously in the next world tiers, you get minus a bunch of resistances. You slap a Rakanat's Wake, you get that non-physical damage. You're going to be good to go, because if you guys didn't know, also, this is something I didn't know about in the earlier stages of the game. Most of the stuff, unless you're doing Gorilla, is like, this is lightning damage, this is fire, this is going to be poison. So they only have one physical, so getting any non-physical is totally fine for the build, depending on what you're playing, obviously. If you're playing Thorns, I believe Thorns still registers as physical. But these are the items that I think are going to be really, really, really good just in the game. Some of the best stuff. And now that you guys know this, hold on, do I have anything else over here? Oh, this is another combo here. So I was talking about like using basics. So another thing that you can do is Sepazontec, and you can run Paingorgers. And if you guys have played Paingorgers, how it works is you need some other skill to deal some sort of damage, but you can actually automate it with this build via this skill over here called Ravager. So Ravager just gives you a free extra like small amount of damage. So it does a roar, and then each of her attacks triggers some extra damage. But as long as it's a skill that you activate, it can't be something for free like Thorns or an AoE that just like registers off of like something. A hurricane does work, so if it's any like continuous damage, it should work with this. But yeah, with Paingorgers, if you play with Thorns, it's gonna like work anyways, because this would be activating it from this skill, right? So this over here would make it so you would have some sort of automation, and then you throw on like adaptability, moonrise, and all like the rapid aspect for like your basic attacks can attack much faster. Remember, every third cast is going to do triple strikes, and then you have this over here, which is like 200x damage. So nice little setup of another combo here if you want to run this little like combo with like uniques and special items. But I don't know, this was a long video, but there's just so many good things. Like, genuinely, almost all the uniques are pretty good. I highly recommend you guys to check them out, but I wanted to go ahead and highlight a bunch of these just for any, builders out there that want to try to make their builds early. Definitely take a look at what we mentioned here. I mean, this is crazy, 27 to skills. I think that this is going to be one of the most powerful classes we'll see in a while. But anyways, that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it if you're new here and you want to see the gameplay. And fingers crossed, we don't get any of these things so nerfed to the point where, like, this video is pointless. But if things do update, if you're new, subscribe, and I'll update you guys if things do change, as we'll be dropping gameplay of the new class very, very soon. Stay tuned. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.